All right, good evening, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to tonight's Public Safety Committee meeting. At this time, I want to welcome the mayor, Councilor Sadi, and thank you, guys. Meeting has started. I want to welcome the mayor, Mayor Passero. I want to welcome also Attorney Landrigan, Chief of Police Brian Wright, the gentleman from the company that the cameras. Thank you, welcome. Our audience here this evening, tonight, our Administrative Assistant Jenny Starks, our committee members, Councilor Muller, and other councilors, President Pro Tem Peck, Councilor Hart, and also Councilor Sadi. At this time, I am going to welcome everyone. Again, this is our Public Safety Committee meeting tonight at 6 p.m. At this time, I'm going to call those who have signed up to address us this evening. All right, you will be allocated 3 minutes. After you have 1 minute left, our Administrative Assistant, Jenny Starks, will motion you have 1 minute left. We would like you to please start closing on your statement. Make sure when you come up here that the light is green, and then you may begin to speak. Make sure you state your full name and address, for this is for public record. With that, we will begin with our first speaker, Anna Stefanski.
Good evening, everyone. Anna Stefanski, 650 Montauk Avenue. I'm here on opposing these speed cameras in the city. I have main issues. I noticed that you had data taken. Oh, okay.
Yep. Thank you, Councilman.
I'd like to know how that data was acquired, and I noticed it was mostly speeding. I would like to know if there were how much accidents or pedestrian injuries or whatever were due to on this data taking. I am also opposed to it. I don't believe that me as a personal individual, if I am not driving my car and someone else is driving my car, why should I get billed for something that I personally did not do? I also think it is a lot of money for these cameras. I also noticed in here that the vendor or the city supposedly has my financial information, according to this, which I don't believe that is up to the city or a vendor to have my financial information, therefore bank statements, et cetera, et cetera. You want to take a picture of my plate, that's fine, but taking my financial information, especially a third-party vendor, that is not liable. That's not accessible. And also, what is the $15? It says something in here about a $15 processing fee. I'd like to know what that is. And that's basically it, but I am definitely opposed to the speed cameras.
Thank you. All right, the following speakers will be John Kirkland, then Jason Morris, and then John Bully, I think it is. Okay, that order.
This is embarrassing. I didn't grab my speech. Can I let somebody else go and I'll grab that real quick?
All right.
Good evening, Jason Morris, 90 Bank Street. Good to be with you again to hopefully not pass this ordinance. The first thing I need to do is reiterate that these systems collect data on every single vehicle, not just the violators. That information is already being collected in a few other Connecticut cities who have not voted it down. This is publicly available. Yes? I'll talk closer. I need to reiterate that these systems collect data on every single vehicle, not just violators. That information is already being collected in a few other Connecticut cities. It's publicly available right now. That is dangerous for victims of stalking. The data can and likely is being scraped into insurance and credit company databases to help them determine your driving habits and raise your insurance premiums. This is already happening with smart cars these days. The data is being collected by the car companies and then being sold to insurance companies. A piece of the ordinance related to the fees that is missed when speaking about this is the $15 fee on top of the $50 one, specifically for the privilege of being automatically ticketed and avoid a tense interaction with a police officer. Lastly, this ordinance asks our city's Democratic Party what its values are. Do they value privacy, or do they want to, quote, look tough on crime? Do they value the rights and freedoms of our state, that our state upholds, or do we only care to protect them for our state citizens and no one else's? That's all I have. Please vote no on this ordinance. Thank you.
Sorry about that. John Kirkland, 71 Stewart Avenue. Good afternoon, Council President, members of the City Council, Mr. Mayor. I'm here to discuss the traffic safety and, more importantly, the fiscal responsibility in New London. Our data is clear. The primary cause of accidents is aggressive driving, specifically following too closely, concentrated between the hours of 3 to 5 p.m. during the commute. The solution before you, the proposed automatic traffic enforcement safety devices, or ATSEDs, must be rejected. It's expensive, ineffective, and unjust. The dual conflict, cost and equity. The proposal has two fatal flaws, starting with the cost. A 5-camera camera deployment requires $150,000 recurring vendor fee annually, as quoted by the chief. We would be creating perpetual financial burden that demands continuous finding just to break even. This is fundamentally unjust, particularly because deploying cameras in our 5 qualified census tracts imposes a regressive tax on our lowest income residents while also violating the CT statute cap on cameras. We cannot penalize our neighbors to solve a problem that's fundamentally an engineering failure. The data supports a superior non-punitive approach. A solution, the one-time investment in permanent safety. Our official action plan shows how to solve this crisis permanently by turning the $150,000 annual camera fee into a one-time capital investment for infrastructure that works. Citywide road diets. We can repaint the entire 64 miles of city roads inside of New London to institute a low-cost road diet, visually narrowing lanes and thus reducing speed. The cost for this high visibility work, only about $57,000. Physical deterrents. With the remaining $92,400, we can immediately fund the installation of 20 new speed bumps in our highest risk QCT corridors. This provides a guaranteed physical barrier against speeding where it is needed most, which have been shown to be 44% effective in reducing speed. Cameras are about 22. In total, for a single investment of $147,600, less than 1 year of vendor fees, we implement 2 major safety initiatives that improve every road in the city and protect our most vulnerable neighborhoods.
1 minute.
As we listen to a presentation tonight, remember, you are listening to salesmen that are trying to get you to purchase their product. If you take everything they have to say at face value, I have a great oceanfront property in Nebraska to sell you. Have a great evening.
Good evening, John Booley, 346 Pequot Avenue. Thank you for all your public service and whatnot, and thanks for the opportunity to speak tonight. So I was here at the last meeting, and I just wanted to reiterate a few things. You know, I moved to New London here from Avon a few years ago, about 4 years ago, and since almost my arrival, I've been interacting with members of this group here about the speed and safety on Pequot Avenue. I'm sure a lot of areas in New London are the same, but of course I live at Pequot, so that's the one I'm worried about. So, you know, cars parked on the side of Pequot are often hit because it's a fairly narrow road to have parking on the side. So it's quite often cars are losing their side view mirrors, like that are parked on the street. I'm sure the police probably have, you know, incident reports about this. But I'll mention a few things that happened on Pequot. fatal single-car crash, May 2021, Jose Sancho, single-vehicle accident, Pequot and Glenview Ave. 2 pedestrians hit, March 2020, a woman critically injured, a man was hurt, 50 Pequot Avenue. And the historic hit and run, Kevin Showalter, a college student who was hit and killed while changing a flat tire right in front of my house. So I've mentioned it before. I know it's been understudy for quite some time. A couple electronic signs that now tell everybody exactly how fast they're going. People love punching it and seeing how high they can get those digits, are in place on Pequot now. It wouldn't cost a whole lot to put a couple asphalt speed bumps in a couple decent areas, if nothing else, in front of the college, Mitchell College. Elevated crosswalks like you have at the other end of Pequot would help slow things down. 1 or 2 probably wouldn't do the job, but maybe a couple strategically placed would slow it down. So I thank you, everybody. I know money's tight. That's why myself and some of the other neighbors on Pequot might be interested in helping fund speed bumps on Pequot, just to get that worrisome budget situation off the table. So thank you for your entertainment, and have a good day.
Oh, it's usually separate, but if you guys choose, all right, yes, that's well. You get your full 3 minutes.
Hello, my name is Leonard Lowe, and I live at 551 Pequot, and I would like to thank you for allowing me to speak. I concur with the previous speaker that we have a serious problem on Pequot Avenue, not only with the motor scooters, or whatever they call them, the young people that are riding, but also speeders. We have a number of people who use the beaches. They park along Pequot to view the river, and I think it's a serious problem. And I think the solution is not speed bumps and not stop signs, because stop signs are merely a suggestion in New London. I think that the best solution would be speed bumps put strategically along Pequot Avenue. And I know my wife and I have discussed this many times, and we would be willing to fund at least some of them, or a couple of speed bumps. We would put out that money to help the city defray the cost. Also, we see a problem at the corner at where Bank Street turns left going on to Tilley Avenue. My wife and I were almost creamed going on to Bank Street because the person in the left lane kept on going, and I think something needs to be addressed at that corner. It is a serious situation. The other problem, I think, is because of the congestion on Bank Street, that there needs to be better parking enforcement on Bank Street, because it is a serious problem. Even if you wish to cross that, and no matter what time of the day or night, it's always, the parking is always full, and there's nobody on the street. So I don't understand that situation. There needs to be some parking enforcement. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
My name is Marla Lowe, and I live on 551 Pequot. And my concern is basically for the traffic going by Pequot, because we have motorcycles doing wheelies. Now, I don't know much about wheelies, but they're doing the back and then the front, and they're standing up on their motorcycles, and the cars are going so fast, even if they put police there giving tickets. But I am for speed bumps, and we really need something to slow these people down. I don't mean to use the word gun, but I would like to get a speed gun to track, not sitting in front of my house, but close by, to track all these people, because they are going very fast. In fact, I don't know Vicki, but she was at our house a couple of weeks ago, And, can I call you Vicki? Okay. And we were talking outside, and there was a car going very fast down the street, and another car behind him passed on the yellow line. It is very dangerous. And I don't think those little cameras or things are going to stop it. I think we do need speed bumps, and we will be happy to help because it is dangerous.
Thank you. Sarah?
Hi. Sarah Turner, 115 Riverview Ave. I'm here today to talk about the traffic cams. One thing I notice is that people that break the law are always going to find a way to break the law. Let me give you an example. If you put up a traffic cam on Bank Street and you put up a couple notices telling people that there's a ticketing violation camera there, what could it potentially do? Reroute the traffic. So then my next question is, are the people that are creating these offenses, are they local or are they non-resident? Because if they're local people, they're most likely just going to drive down another street. So are we ticketing residents or the people from out of town? It sounds like from a lot of the comments I've heard, it is concerns with reckless driving more so than just like the normal everyday, somebody rolled through a red light, somebody, drove a little bit faster. I mean, honestly, I really appreciate the signs now that we have out on Howard, it tells you how fast you're going. And I have to be honest, I never realized that the speed on Howard is actually only 25 miles an hour. I don't know, maybe somebody should reassess that. I mean, maybe it should be 30. Maybe people are going too fast because the speed limit is just too slow for the area. I'm not saying that people don't drive fast, but maybe if there was an appropriate speed limit for the area, people might not drive as reckless. And then additionally, every day it seems like lately when I go out anywhere in New London, there's always another street that's closed down. Why do people speed? They speed because they're late. So if we were to communicate better with the community to let them know, hey guys, you're not going to be able to drive on this street in 2 days, maybe then people wouldn't find the need to be reckless and not paying attention and trying to find another way and causing car accidents. 1 minute. And then also, like the traffic lights, it seems like the DOT is going to be the one that's going to approve this traffic cam proposal. And it says that the traffic cams are supposed to be the traffic lights are supposed to be calibrated every year. So when was the last time the traffic lights in New London were calibrated? And then also, when it comes to the cost of the traffic cams, it seems like the tickets are capped at $50 and $75 respectively. But will that be an inevitable cap? Will the cost of renting the equipment at $2,500 a camera per month, will that increase at a 3 to 5% rate every year? And then we're caught in some type of situation like we are in education, where we decide to put magnet schools into our district, and then they don't increase the cost of the support since 2014, and then the residents end up picking up the rest of that cost in our taxes. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so at this time, that was the last speaker. We're going to have a presentation and discussion on ordinance number 09-15-2503, providing for the use of automated traffic enforcement safety devices. I'm going to call the presenters, or the chief first? Yes. Oh, we'll have the presenters. Oh, chief, you introduce him, please.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, thank you.
First and foremost, I want to thank everyone for this opportunity to do a presentation on the speed enforcement cameras. I think there is a lot of information which is being misinterpreted, or there's some inaccuracy. So tonight, we're fortunate enough to have representatives from the vendor to do a presentation, and I think that will be a good way to find out information so there is no misunderstanding or inaccuracy in regards to the information. And not to waste any time or lengthen this any longer, I'd like to ask representatives to come forward.
Good evening, Mr. President, Council, Mr. Mayor, and citizens. I appreciate you giving me a chance to come out here so I can provide some additional information. The chief told me to keep a 3-hour presentation to 12 minutes, so I'm going to do my best on that tonight to try to condense it as best I can. Feel free, should a question arise from the council, to ask such questions so I don't confuse anywhere. Speed Enforcement product is brought to you here by our company, but I'm really speaking to any product that comes in here, any vendor that comes in here. I'm trying to keep it as much as I can because this is about approving the ordinance to all automated enforcement programs. The top 5 concerns we hear about automated enforcement, whether it's here in New London, in Ontario, Colorado, they always come back to the same 5. First one we hear, this won't work. And I didn't just type this just now. This won't work. We should use X, Y, or Z solution instead. My statement to that is everybody's absolutely correct on that. Nothing can work on its own. Traffic safety and traffic calming is a system, it's a mesh, it's a group of solutions that are put together, and using one on its own, so one speed camera sitting out there on an island is not going to solve a problem. They're going to slow down for that camera and move right on. A speed camera mixed with a lot of other solutions together in and around is what makes a perfect traffic safety net in your community, and you start addressing it one problem after another in order to eventually get to the right solutions. Traffic safety at its core is trying to solve driver psychology. And if any one of us could predict driver psychology and driver behavior, we'd probably not be sitting here right now. Second one I hear is these should or shouldn't be placed in this area. Please know that the state of Connecticut has made these laws very, very clear, and they guide a lot of where these can and can't be placed, particularly when it comes to the qualified census tracts. They define where that is. The next step then is for, of course, Chief Wright, based on his institutional knowledge of where enforcement takes place, where crashes take place. That's the next step that happens. They suggest where it goes, and then engineering studies come in, not performed by us as the vendor, performed by traffic engineers, in order to actually come in, put tube studies down, which is what I think was just referred to, tube studies down, and then all that information is fed back to the city to make a determination, is this the right place, or is this not the right place? These cameras are a speed trap, cash grab. I actually have a slide addressing that question here in a little bit, but they are not. They are typically not. Okay, there are states that do have those issues. You'll see them in certain areas. I won't call out those individual states here, but Connecticut's was designed very specifically to do 2 things. One was have a low penalty rate, $40 or $50, I'm sorry. I thought it was in Colorado for a moment. $50 and then $75 for a secondary offense. In addition, it does something else, which is put a $15 cap on vendor fees. No matter what vendor comes in here, it is a $15 cap on those fees. So when you hear people referring to those fees, that's what that processing fee is for. It is a way to restrain vendors from coming in and charging what you see in some states, $200, $150, $30, $1,000 on it. They're all over the place. Automated enforcement version 2, which is what I call what we see out in today's world, puts restraints on that in certain states, and Colorado has certainly done, Connecticut has certainly done that. My apologies. I just flew from Colorado late last night to come here for this, so my brain hasn't caught up to where I am at the moment. These cameras share data, get hacked. I have another slide on data, but I can't say it any clearer than your data is your data. It does not move out of this system unless you ask or direct it to be moved out of this system. Any other statement regarding that is patently false. This data does not go to the federal government. It does not go anywhere else. The only time it is ever moved out, if that's even an accurate statement, is when we're requesting the driver license information from the DMV. I wouldn't necessarily consider that a move out of data. It's brought back in, and it's really governed and managed the same exact way that the chief's current systems are when somebody runs a license plate in their system. It's the exact same regulations, the exact same auditing, the exact same system that we go through. This will cost us too much. We've been learning over the course of the last year how to price these correctly in order to do 2 things. One, to make sure that the revenue moves to cities, not to vendors. And number 2, that vendors have a way to ensure that the companies are still around in the future. A company that collects nothing is not a company that will be here. A company that collects too much is not a company that will be here. It's not a program that will be here. And we constantly monitor that. That is why your program is actually going to be presented as a cost-neutral program, as all of our programs are now being presented. The City of New London will not ever issue a check to our company, period. Moving in the actual presentation, I always like to show this one of why are we actually here? And ironically, somebody mentioned this a little bit earlier. It was almost like I planted them. This is a picture taken from one of our cameras in Schaumburg, Illinois. This particular community actually only uses these cameras to issue warning notices. They don't send any tickets out. That state at this moment can't use fines, but they feel strongly enough about it that they issue warning notices off this same exact system, utilized the same exact way. And I always say, why are we here? This particular one, you see some kids walking down the street here, you see a car going by it. This particular car was going 53 and a 25. It's kind of hard to see it, but there's a yellow line on there. The paint is faded, a little bit faded paint on the road. It was passing in an oncoming lane. That vehicle was being driven by a student, a teenage high school student, and we sent that warning notice out. It was the parents' job to speak with them who owned the vehicle and say, let's take care of this. And we got word back very quickly from the chief of police that they certainly did take care of that, and we didn't see it in our system again. Automated speed enforcement is one solution. As I said earlier, it's only one. It's not going to solve every problem. Right below that, we have driver feedback signs. I think we already heard those working in some of your areas of the city. Those work for some people. They worked for me before. You turn a corner, you come around a bend, you don't realize the speed limit changed, it's flashing at you, and oh, okay, it wakes you up a little bit, you catch it. I get it. It works for some people. Not everybody. Some need that next level up, which is a letter in the mail saying, you're the one that was speeding, don't keep driving by this sign, seeing, as was referenced earlier, how high you can get those numbers. For other people, the first level will work. It's just a sign. Just listen to the sign. It's right there. Pay attention to that, and you don't ever have to worry about the second level or the third level, but absolutely unequivocally, there are people who will never pay attention to this sign, no matter if there's a ticket attached to it or not. It is not a silver bullet. It will not solve all problems. It will not remove the need to have full-blown police, law enforcement, traffic enforcement following up with that. I want to present a slide on what does the program actually look like? What do you need to do in order to make this program happen? What you're doing right now is the first step right there at the top. Let's focus on the top bar for a moment. The bottom bar is when you're going to, if you were to pass a program and if you're going to add a program, but I want to make sure some communities don't know what it takes, what it entails. First step is what you're doing right now. Have a community set of public hearings. Second, establish an ordinance. Third, then procure some type of an ASC partner. Second one is submit that permit for approval, the ATESD permit, as we heard referenced earlier, to the state DOT. There's actually a second set of permits you need, typically on DOT roads, called the right-of-way permit. Then we install the hardware, we configure the software. Once all of that is done, a very long process, you're kicking off your warning period. If you're going to add additional sites down the line, a very important note, you always have to conduct a public hearing on future sites. These are not meant to be a surprise. When we talk with the OSTA, the Department of Transportation's office that manages this, the primary goal is that anything published on their page is very clear to the public, that it has been talked about and discussed in this forum, and there's no surprises to any citizens of what was happening, and that it just came up on them. So you always have a new public hearing on additional sites, and then a new permit is sent in back to OSTA for them to approve those sites again, install that hardware, and reconfigure. So there's always a public level of approval and discussion and notice in there. Once you have that program installed, that first circle is what we just discussed. Then you have two sets of processes that take place. Kind of think of it as everything happening on the street. The pole that's installed, all the signage in front of it capturing the images, that gets passed through the Microsoft Azure Government Cloud over to our violation data system, and then the data lives in there. That's the entire system, the software system, the back office software that processes it. Then the violator has a choice. They can pay it, they can appeal it, or they can ignore it. All three options are there available to them, and all of them have an opportunity of flow to go through within that same software system. And then last but not least, there's a lot of course, analytical tools within there. That is how that software works. It all lives within that system. Once it passes from the camera over, it's set and into our program. What do cameras look like? Here's an example of some of the cameras. On the left, you have a Mountain View, Colorado one, a little bit closer up. I put that one in there so you can see you've got the solar panel. These particular applications are all solar. You have the solar panel. Right below it is the actual camera. The little box below that is the illuminator. That's what helps give some light to it at night. It's the infrared illuminator, so it's not shining in somebody's home. This is not a big flash at night if it comes across it. And the box below it is the battery box. The one to the right I want to show because it's, that right there is the very first camera in Connecticut that we installed just about, I think it was about 6 months ago. It's still obviously very new in Connecticut. That's the first one installed in the state. And then over there on the right, we have one in Disney World up in front of one of the hotels. And I just always like to say we make sure it's always not the happiest place in the planet. But we have one up in front of one of the hotels to slow everybody down that's coming into one of the hotels that's there. They operate in all kinds of temperatures. Again, AC or solar powered. We can go into that longer, but we have a short time here. I show this slide here in order to make sure, it's always this question we have of, it's a speed trap, you're putting these in behind bushes. We are not. The state is very clear in how this gets processed. So what happens is you have to have advanced warning signs. The first one on the right, the speed limit 30 with photo enforced has to be 1,000 feet ahead. Then, if you had a multi-layered school zone, for instance, if you put it in front of there, there's a secondary one with the school zone speed limit, photo enforced sign again. Then 300 feet ahead of the camera, you have the speed limit photo enforced. Then you have all of that camera equipment that I just showed you in the prior camera. And then after that is where about 120 feet, give or take, is where the image is being taken of that vehicle. We take rear projection images. We do not enter the cabin. We don't have anything like that. We're not taking pictures of the drivers. Connecticut's law is set up very specifically to lower the penalty, lower the threshold, which is that offset for the driver, or the owner of the vehicle is responsible, not the driver. Less penalty, owner of the vehicle is responsible for their vehicle. Structured exactly, think of it as a parking ticket. You're responsible for where your vehicle gets parked, not the driver of the vehicle. We show this very specifically because people sometimes have the mistaken impression that these are hidden or anything of that nature. And I always like to make the statement here very clearly that every one of those signs is the size of a child. It's actually smaller than a child in some cases, smaller than an elderly person crossing the road. And if anybody says they can't see those signs, then I worry that they're not seeing the exact pedestrians we're trying to keep safe on the road, that they're not seeing the other hazards on the road that we're trying to protect for the vulnerable roadway users there. That's how the system actually works. Once that data is passed over, as we talked about, it's moving through the universe. Kind of difficult to always prove a negative when people say you're putting your data out there and everybody's accessing it, but you own your data 100%. We do not share it in any way. There are only 3 groups that ever see the data. The violator, who has to go through 2-factor authentication just to get to that data. You can't just log in and look up your boss's license plate or your neighbor's license plate. You have to have a 2-factor authentication code to get to that data to see what it is. Then it's DECRA staff and support partners. All of these are governed by some high-level authority that's checking on us. NLITS, CJIS, SOC 2. CJIS is Criminal Justice Information System. We have constant testing on our behalf, constant background checks in order to raise ourselves up to federal standards to make sure that all the staff that we have are being managed properly by this and always audited on a regular basis by outside staff, not ourselves, outside groups that we're required to be audited by. And then any municipal staff and support partners that you determine. Sometimes we're asked to share data with, for instance, an ERP system. Your finance department might need to move some of the finance data back and forth. That's the extent of it. That's it, period. It does not get shared. The statute's very clearly unclear at this moment. One of the conflicts in Connecticut state statute is we are required to delete it at 30 days. That data is absolutely deleted at 30 days after the violation has been taken care of and paid. It's confusing to me because you also are allowed to have repeat violators have an escalating penalty to try to get their attention. So it's difficult to have a repeat violator if you also had to dump that data because we don't know that you were ever a violator in the first place. There's parts of the statute that say you are no longer a repeat violator if for 1 year you have not had another speeding ticket. Then you can go back to ground zero and have a first offense. Again, there's a conflict in there. We've had a lot of conversations with OSTA office of this conflict, and we've, of course, chosen the path of the most conservative. We delete the data at 30 days, period. Okay? Here is the really simple design of how our software works. I actually brought with me today Paul Kalecki. Paul is the chief architect of our software system. He designed every button, every switch, everything in it. He leads our entire development team. And when I, the retired police chief, said, give me a simple software design, he gave me this, and I said, that's not going to work for me. So I made this one that is just simply step 1, step 2, step 3 of how this works. That's all that this process takes in order to issue these violations. Step one, you see my PowerPoint skills. It says confirm the violation, if I had had that set up correctly. That's what we do on our side. When that image comes over, I'll show you that here in a minute, we're doing the cleanup work on that in our processing center, sending that back to you. You then, and I say you, Chief Wright's team, then takes the action on that. And they're the ones that determine whether or not a citation gets issued. We never do. Never us. A determination if a citation gets issued, a warning ticket gets issued, no action gets taken, that's entirely on New London's decision, and then we send out the notices on your behalf. That's how the process works. What does it actually look like? Here's an example of it. This is step one. This is what our processors are looking at. Our processors are all retired law enforcement. We do that for a very specific reason. We want traffic enforcement officers looking at these tickets. They know what is prosecutable or not. They know what is going to pass muster at a level that makes it worthy of a ticket, or it's just not quite clear. Toss it. It is not a violation if it's not 100% prosecutable. This data has already gone through two sets of essentially what is AI, looking at the license plate, looking at the image, seeing, do these two distinct sets of AI tools, do they agree with each other? If they agree with each other, this card's going to come up as green on the bottom. And we're going to say, yeah, we think we're pretty clear on this already. That's what creates the efficiency in the system. If it's not, and a little bit off, we're close, but we're not quite there, it's going to be yellow. If it's a hot mess, there's bike cracks on the back, it's the middle of a snowstorm, those will come up as red. That cues the processor to take even more time with it and even more caution with it if it's a yellow or a red. And they're able to look at other things along the way too. How many other times was this vehicle seen? What's going on with this, so that they can see exactly what's happening. Again, how many other times has been seen within the last 30 days in this state until that issue gets resolved by your legislature. Here's step two. This will be what's comes over to your side. At this point, it's been deemed, yes, this seems to be a prosecutable an event that's able to be prosecuted, send it over for that decision. It goes off to NLITS, where the driver owner information is populated, and all this information is available to Chief Wright's team in order to make a decision on enforcement. Should we or shouldn't we enforce this violation? To include, again, on the lower right, you see where the red circle is, prior violations in here. How many events have or haven't occurred? Should we enforce up or down? What do we have in front of us here, and how do we feel about this violation? Overspeed, things of that nature. They're going to make the decision on should we issue a ticket or not. After that, a violation or a warning notice gets sent out. Here's an example of some of these notices. I put them up here because probably from where you're sitting, you can't really tell that the one on the far left is a warning notice, and the two on the right are two different types of actual citations. It's very specific for that reason. We went out and worked with behavioral scientists to say, how do we best create change in a community? How do we, just by the design of this letter, create change and create compliance? That happened with 3 communities on that left side using a warning letter only. They were each taking a different approach, if I may just take an extra 30 seconds. And I found it very interesting as a retired police chief and traffic division chief. They've taken an approach of saying one wanted to be really aggressive on, tell them they're going to get a ticket and it's going to be $100 out of their pocket. The other one said, no, let's go ahead and let's push forward on just asking for their compliance. We just want them to be safer. And the other one said, let's show them a gory picture and say, if you don't slow down, this is going to be you. And I didn't know the answer to it. I said, I don't know. I'm not a behavioral scientist. So we went to behavioral scientists and said, tell us which one works best. And they did. That's what you have before you. This is what the citizen portal looks like. A citizen has the ability, as I said, to pay, appeal, or ignore. They're going to go into our citizen portal. They're going to make the decision. When they're logged in here, again, with 2-factor authentication to get that data, they'll be able to look at those violations. Not only those violations, you've heard a lot about certification of the radar, of the LiDAR it actually is, technically. They're going to be able to look at that certification as well. See when that actual camera was certified, their camera. It was certified here. This is what it is. Present as much information to the person as you possibly can so they can make the choice of how do they want to handle it. If they want to have their day in court, absolutely. Then it gets sent right into the court docket. That's what we are at our core. For 28 years, we've been a municipal court vendor. That's what we do. We move it on into the courts, and then your court system handles it as you normally would. I put this slide up here real quick just to show. We'll move through it quite quickly. Over on the left, you have no program. These are all individual, think of them as either single events or groups of events of the vehicle driving by. Down at the bottom, they're compliant. They're staying under speed. In the middle, this is somebody who's 0 to 10 over, and at the top, this is 10 miles or over. Now, your community is going at a 15 mile over. The state allows you 10 miles over. You're going 15 miles over. All decisions that are left up to you. But my slide already had 10 over when I used this with other communities, so adjust it accordingly in your mind. That's what we had on the red there. There's no program in there. When you go in a warning period, you typically issue a warning notice at the beginning. That's what some of your colleagues are doing in other towns around here. Issue one warning notice. You usually don't want to issue multiples right off the bat because you let it get in there, let it bake, let it land in the mail, let them have that conversation with their teenager like in that prior picture, say you need to slow down, let it come to their own conclusion how they do or don't. You're welcome to do it as much as you want. As I said, you're choosing the action on what you do, but the state does not allow you to send out a violation in the first 30 days. Month 2 of the program, you're now allowed to issue a ticket. In month 2, once you issue the first ticket, you need to let that bake. Again, you need to let that land there, give them an appeal period time so they have their due process available to them. After that due process, perhaps they still keep speeding by and they're not getting the hint. Perhaps then you issue another violation. It's entirely your choice how you do it. Some communities will get aggressive after that and say, we want a zero tolerance. Other communities won't. It's entirely up to you how many times you go by. But this notion that every single time this person goes by the camera, as soon as that thing's installed, is not exactly correct. It's a slow teaching process you're usually trying to get. But typically you end up where you're getting them compliant. The one I like to talk about is somewhat reality. It's always dangerous to compare your town to another town, but I do like to talk about reality. Here is a reality of a vehicle in Middletown, a specific vehicle. This vehicle, we ran the data a couple months. I think it shows June 23rd is when we started the warning program in Middletown. This was one particular habitual offender. July 22nd is the last time I ran that chart, this particular chart. Look at all those there. Your purples are the 0 to 10 miles, 10 to 15 miles over the speed limit. Your pinks are 15 to 20, and your reds are your reckless driving. Those are arrestable offenses. These are high-speed incidents here. This particular individual, 7 times reckless driving, 9 times, 5 times, 21 total offenses here within 1 month on here. Okay, what does this person look like? I'll tell you what this car looks like. I have the picture for you. It looks like that. This was the car. And if you look at the times, you'll see a pattern there. That pattern was every day on the way to and from school, while they were driving children, that's how they were driving. That's why we're here today. Because a police officer can't sit there 24 hours a day and catch every car that goes by. But a camera can. And in some cases, a well-placed camera will find that. And a well-placed conversation will figure this out and have those conversations. And to me, that's why we're here, to find those problems and to deal with them. And if it's in the wrong place, we figure out that it's in the wrong place and we move those cameras. We solve that problem and we lower those speeds, you move them to a better location. This is not a silver bullet, it's not the end-all be-all, but it does work. That same exact camera, it's on Route 66. If you're familiar with Middletown, on Route 66 on the way out of town, that's right where the cameras are, right in front of the apartment buildings and the bike path there. This is what we had in 4 months. 94% reduction in reckless drivers. That is not a small number, 94%. You see that huge drop right there is just the physical presence of those 3 signs. When we put it in there, we even asked the chief, well, actually 2 things happened. When we first got the traffic study, I think it might be on the next slide, yes, it's on this slide here. Okay, if you look at this one, you see that data right there in the red. That was when we first went out there. Remember I said we go out there and we do traffic studies first and we have a neutral party do it? It came back and it had 1.9% of the people were driving the speed limit or under. I did not believe it. In my 28 years of policing, I didn't believe that 1.9% of the drivers were actually at the speed limit or under. It seemed implausible. We ran it again. We ran it a 3rd time. We kept coming up with that same number. I pushed Chief Costa. I said, there's no way the speed limit is correct. He said, it's correct. We have bike paths right there. We have people. It's the correct speed. I'm like, there's no way. Somebody just mentioned it earlier. There's no way that speed's correct. There's got to be a higher speed. I actually went to DOT myself and said, do we need a new speed study here? This cannot be correct. And they said, it is correct. We just did one recently. Okay? We clearly need this system here. We put it in. We had them not only put the system in, but I asked Chief Costa to put the huge, the really large construction orange signs. We put them up saying, no, really, these are here. They are working. They are here. We put those up in front of it as well to make sure people knew, drive safely, please. And that physical presence saw a pretty significant drop. During the warning period, we saw another significant drop. Then the citations started, and we see that slow climb. Now, we feel pretty victorious because I think it's on the prior one here. That's that same red line. These are the most egregious violators within there. We feel pretty victorious because of what we're seeing there. This 85% reduction in overall speeders, 94% reduction in the reckless drivers alone, the ones that are most likely to cause those accidents, those significant accidents. We feel really proud of that, but the sad story is that's still many, many thousands of violations. So they work when done correctly. They should be part of a broader system, which is why the state of Connecticut said, when revenue comes in from these, put it back into other traffic safety solutions throughout your city. That's really all I have for you. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have at this time.
Thank you, sir. At this time, committee members, Councilor Murray, you have the floor.
Thank you. I have a question for you. You mentioned that your company, your software company is in the business of court processing. Can you talk a little bit more about the company itself? And I'm curious how you make money. How does this program make money for you? Why are you in this business? That's sort of the nature of my question for now.
Well, why I personally, that's a different story. That's a traffic crash, but we'll leave that one out of it. Why are companies in this business? There's two companies involved in this, two primary companies, the hardware and the software. The software is DACRA, D-A-C-R-A. That's the company that you would be contracting with. Our partner is Traffic Logics. They're actually one of the largest vendors in the state. You probably have many of their products around your city. They're the flashing light vendors. They work with UConn, T2, and a lot of vendors around the state here in order to provide traffic safety products. They approached us about 2 years, let me digress. DACRA has been a municipal court software system for about 27 or 8 years. I look at Paul, but he'll tell me exactly how many. About 28 years, I believe we're at right now. And we specialize in adjudication. Adjudication are civil offenses, not criminal offenses. And it came from really my history when I used to work in neglected communities of trying to figure out how we get behavior change in communities. How do we improve communities? And we don't do it by hitting the people over the head with a hammer. You do it, or killing an ant with a hammer. You do it by just enough behavior change, just enough of a nudge to get the right behavior change. That's what started us as an adjudication system. And that process grew and grew and grew over the course of 20 years into a bigger, broader court system. It manages everything from Cook County, which is where Chicago is, the second largest county all in the country, all the way down to towns of 1,000 people and less. That's where we are. About 2 years ago now, this traffic company met us at a show, and they just said, hey, we take pictures. Can you make warning tickets out of that? And at first I said, I have no way to monetize that enough to develop a multi-million-dollar product, and how does that work? But it bothered me, and it bothered me, and it bothered me. So we went and did a tour with a bunch of old departments, not old departments, departments that I used to work with and chiefs that I worked with in my career, and we just went and talked. And we said, if we did this, would you do it? How could you? One of them was Schaumburg, as a matter of fact, with that first picture with the bus. How would you do it? Could you do it? And they said, absolutely. We can't hire police right now. We are struggling to hire officers, so I would take some of personnel dollars and put it into that. And that's how that program started. So we started with warning tickets. While we were developing that, actually Connecticut's state law came out. And it was in the beginning stages. And we said, you know what? That's a conservative one. That's not one of these extreme ones like Georgia, or a state that rhymes with Georgia. If anybody's here from Georgia, I apologize. That's not an extreme state. This is a very conservative statute, and one that aligns with our core business beliefs of only enough action to drive that behavior change. And so we started working in Connecticut, started looking at how would this work with us, and that's what we do. How do we pay for it? Originally, we thought, sell the cameras at the lowest rate possible, let the city own it. That wasn't working well. There's other people out there that just say, we'll lease it to you for a rate. We started moving to that model, a lease rate. As a matter of fact, that might be the contract that you last saw. As we looked more and more, and as we got data in, particularly from Middletown, and I saw the revenues and the splits and the costs, I said, this is not viable for us. We are making too much money as a company, and we should not be making that much money. So we need to change those contracts. So we are now taking on far more of the risk. It's a little scary. It took a little bit of convincing of my board to say we need to take more of the risk on and just trust that if we do the right research in advance and partner with the right communities, push away the communities that are only looking for money grabs, move towards the communities that are placing these correctly, this program will work and it will make sense. So it's funded by all of those violators that roll through your town, refuse to stop for each of those signs that they go past, and continue on a daily basis to drive past at a high rate of speed. Those speeds, by the way, right here in Middletown, those tickets are only for 20 miles over at the moment. They're going very slowly at how they roll it out, very conservatively, mostly because we've been telling them, don't go crazy with this. Don't ticket every car that goes by. This is about behavior change. How do we develop that behavior change? And in order to do that, you want slower, long-lasting effects. You don't want a flash in the pan and it's gone right away. So that's how we fund it. And we fund it that way. The second reason is because when I looked at Middletown's drivers, 8% of them were from in the town. And it was a lot of people coming from outside of the town. And that town was struggling with, we have traffic safety problems we can't solve, and we have no funding for it. And it seemed to be a match. So all of those things together rolled into what seemed to be the right solution that would make a viable product, and one that can, at the end of the day, reach to what most of the people in our company who are former law enforcement officers, former traffic officers get excited about, which is solving crashes.
I appreciate your answer, and I just want to allow time for Councilor Hart, I'm sure, with
I'm
only
gonna
8
call on-
minutes left,
yep,
yeah.
I'm going to call on President Pro Tem Peck.
Thank you, President Dominguez. Thank you for the presentation. I know it's hard to put that all into a short presentation, but I just thank you. I'm a little familiar with these cameras as I've traveled, and what I've noticed is that when I'm traveling, my GPS picks up these cameras and alerts me that there is a camera coming up. So I've seen them as I've traveled, and I think New London is a little bit behind, in this way of finding ways to calm down the speeding and get aggressive, or if you will, with, those who are breaking the law. We definitely have an issue in the city, growing up here and traveling around the city, being here all the time, I see problems on Connecticut Avenue, on Montauk, on Pequot, several areas of this small city. So we definitely have to find a solution to this problem. So thank you for your presentation, and I yield the floor to the committee members. Thank you, President, for giving me the opportunity to speak.
You're welcome. All right, Councilor Hart, and then I'm going to give it to Councilor Sadi after you.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, is it Glenn?
Yes.
For coming out here to present to us. I appreciate some of the assurances. However, I still have some questions about both the due process element of it and in sort of some fairness and transparency issues about how you would determine whether the driver was duly responsible, and, how people can get a fair hearing remotely and while I appreciate your assurances that you will try to keep private data sensitive, I also recognize that there's a lot of ways that data can be leaked besides through the approval of the vendor. And, every single time we do give up our sensitive data to another vendor or another entity, that's another point of attack or risk or backdoor, or someone who, might decide later to comply with, either the federal government in a surreptitious way, or a hacker who's demanding, access or something like that. I don't know what could be said in this evening's meeting that would put all those to rest. But my feeling is, and listening to the community come out and speak, that if this has been approved in other cities, I see, no reason to rush ahead and approve it here tonight when we could have the benefit of seeing how this works in, for example, New Haven for 2 or 3 years, seeing how things play out in the court, whether people feel that's due process and represents them. I appreciate that you want to bring this pilot program to New London. I'm sort of more of a mind to wait and see at the very best to see if some of these concerns come to light, because we won't know in advance signing up. All we have is the assurances of a vendor, so I'm not quite ready to take it tonight. Yeah, if it were to come to the full council.
All right, just to make it clear, this is a presentation. Just put Councilor Hart at ease. This is a presentation. There's no motions made or votes taken tonight. This is mainly a presentation. 2 weeks ago, you guys were here. It was impossible. We agreed that you were to come, so we thank you for coming and presenting. So with that, Councilor Sadi, you have the floor.
Thank you. Couple questions. Number one, at the inception, how many cameras do you plan on installing?
I think it was 5, right?
Well, it was, I think, 1 or 2.
There's no set number, those are 5 studies that we have. The misunderstanding is that we have to do all 5 at one time. We can go with 1, we can go 2. The point is, each time we do go forward with, it has to go through this very same process. It's very transparent. There's no approving 1, then we have the open door to go 2, 3, 4, and 5 without the same process. So there's no set number which we have to move in this direction for, sir.
And is that set by Connecticut general statute, or?
Yes, by legislation, yes.
Okay. Second question is, how will the traffic cams be certified / calibrated? And, you know, is that on a monthly basis, an annual basis?
There is an internal process within the camera itself that does a self-calibration. When we go above and beyond that, and we actually do a calibration, you have to do one within a year. We actually do it immediately upon install with a third-party vendor that comes in and provides that calibration. That is not the camera manufacturer. That's the certificate that we then provide to the courts.
And I don't know if it's my final question, but I'll make it my final question because we have a council meeting. You have questions also? No. Oh, okay. And so, what is the policy if the perpetrator refuses to pay? In the state of Connecticut, if I get pulled over by a police officer speeding, that speeding ticket then goes to traffic control of the state of Connecticut. I apologize. What's it called? DMV. Yeah, well, DMV. Anyways, and to pay it. And if I don't pay it, it then goes to court. If I refuse to pay or refuse to respond in court, then it goes back to DMV where my registration is suspended. So what is the procedure for refusal to pay with your policy?
I'll field that one. It would go to collections. There's not a marshal showing up or a police officer showing up at your residence. And unfortunately, even with DMV canceling registrations, obviously that's not a silver bullet too, because people still continue to operate unlicensed, uninsured, unregistered. However, we're not taking that extreme approach that would go under those guidelines. It would go to collections.
Thank you very much for your responses. Great presentation.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilor Sadi. All right, so I just, again, Glenn, I want to thank you, and then Paul also, coming away from Colorado, thank you again for the presentation. What I heard throughout the presentation, that this is geared to changing behavior. I think I heard it, I don't know how many times. Changing behavior, okay? Humans have misbehaved throughout history, in every area. So there's always has to be some way to change behavior. It works, we still do it. We do it in schools, we do it everywhere. I mean, if you do it at home with your kids, you change behavior. The other thing is, it sounds, according to how you presented, this is not punitive. No, you work with the city. And the last thing I heard was that the chief of police and whoever's going to be working on his team are the ones that decide if this is going to be held as a ticket, an infraction. That's what I heard. Has nothing to do with your company. Am I right?
Correct.
All right, so with that, I want to thank you once again. Thank you for coming. And with that, I'm looking for one last motion.
Move to adjourn.
All right, second, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. The motion carries. This Public Safety Committee meeting is over. Thank you. In a minute, we're going to start our city council meeting. All right, welcome to tonight's city council meeting, Monday, October 20th, 2025. At this time, I'm going to call on City Clerk Jonathan Ayala to do a roll call, please.
President Dominguez.
Present.
President Pro Tem Peck. Present. Councilor Hart.
Present.
Councilor Muller.
Present.
Councilor Sadi.
Present.
You have 5 present.
Thank you, sir. All right, before we start, let me just acknowledge Director McBride, Attorney Landrigan, Mayor Passero. Oh yes, thank you, Fire Chief, who's back there, and also IT Director Genevieve is also back there. And those that are in our audience, welcome, thank you for being here. And also, yes, thank you, Councilor Dice, welcome, good to have you here. And also welcome our Administrative Assistant, Jenny Starks. All right, with that, I will begin with the prayer and pledge. Let's stand. Father, we thank you this evening for allowing us to be here once again. I pray that your blessing may be upon us as we lead the city and as we make the decision that will affect everyone in the city. I thank you in your name. Amen. Let's do the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll do it in Spanish, it's on the screen. Prometo lealtad a la bandera de los Estados Unidos de América y a la república que representa una nación ante Dios, indivisible, con libertad y justicia para todos. Thank you. All right, there is no public hearings. I need a motion to approve the minutes of October 6, 2025.
So moved.
All right, second. Yep, it's been seconded. Okay, any abstentions, omissions, additions? Seeing none, let's vote. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. Okay, the minutes have been approved from October 6. All right, at this time, we will have public comment. Those that are here this evening, welcome once again. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule and being here. All right, same logistics every night when we meet. Make sure that when you come up here, your name is called. Make sure that the light is green. Make sure you speak right into the mic. You'll be recorded. The other thing is I want to make sure that you address the city council. That's why you're here. Address us. We are the legislators. Right? We make the decisions, so address us, please. The other thing I want to make sure that you know is that when you have 1 minute left, City Clerk Jonathan Ayala, you'll be allocated 3 minutes. After 2 minutes, when you have 1 minute left, he will motion you have 1 minute, right? Want to make sure that you start closing on your statement because we'll make sure that everybody else has enough time to do, all right? And again, make sure you state your full name and address. This is for public record, okay? So with that, we will start with Debbie Phillips, then Rana, then Lucian, and then Jessica.
All right. 10 Mountain Avenue, New London. Hang on. All right, during the last city council meeting, October 6th, I spoke about New London Smart Ride, and to many of you, you might be surprised to learn that was also the first night that I called New London Smart Ride for my first nighttime pickup. Took a couple of minutes to show up at City Hall, got me home safely. I would have used nighttime New London Smart Ride service a lot sooner had I known it was even available. Many of New London residents are unaware that New London Smart Ride transit service is operating both daytime and evening service. Where is the announcement to New London residents about this service? It does not appear on the city's website, nor does it appear on the Smart Ride website, the Regional Seat Bus website, or the State of Connecticut Department of Transportation website. Maybe the City of New London can place this pertinent information under news and announcements, along with the other topics, such as the fall waste pickup schedule, DEP boating rules, or even a cigarette dealer application request. It would be convenient to show it on the city website, since it is strictly a New London service to New London residents only. I strongly suggest that the mayor and city council consider adding this information to the city website, especially now that it's being subsidized by the City of New London for New London residents only. Before I conclude, I did want to present Mayor Passero with a pen
1 minute.
for our 15th annual Prison Awareness and Prevention event this past Saturday. The mayor and the city council have been very supportive of this event. I'm on the committee for it. And we just celebrated our 15th gathering. Mayor? And thank you for my 3 minutes.
Ron Steller, 19 Evergreen Avenue, and I think I'll probably be uncharacteristically brief regarding agenda items 7.2 and 8.4. I've, of course, come to support this action, the approval of the contract and funding for remediation of the Riverside Park site. And although the contamination was unexpected, this will be a real upgrade for the spot for safety, that we didn't even know was a danger. Prompt action is at this point really important to both the gardeners and to Habitat, because it's a tight timeline, and we didn't really expect this extra step. Just to give you a heads up, because this remediation is 1 foot, we probably will have to build the beds higher, and we'd appreciate, when the time comes, having city help with that. And that's all I got to say tonight.
Hi, Lucian Varela, 115 Plant Street. Today I'm here as a member of New London Trees with 3 requests. 1, we are in need for you to follow through with hiring a qualified tree warden. The person you have assigned to this now does not have the desired background we're looking for. 2, there are young trees planted in many parks around town, but there aren't enough spigots. We would like spigots to be placed at Green Harbor, Toby May, Riverside Park, and a more accessible spigot to be placed at Calkins Park. 3, please utilize our city's Shade Tree Commission. We want you to reestablish and update the arboriculture standards. This is supposed to take 3 months to fix, but it has been over a year now. Please address these concerns as soon as possible. On a different note, please take the necessary next steps with the Riverside Community Garden Plan. Timelines are very important with seasonal work like this. Thank you.
Hello, Jessica McCready, 44 Lincoln Avenue. I will try to be very brief. I went to the Police Citizen Advisory Committee's meeting last week, and I wanted to see how it was run, see how things were handled while they're in their meetings. In that meeting, they had taken a letter for the record to have a member resigned themselves. Sorry, I'm not speaking clearly. A member resigned, and it was taken for record at that meeting. I have had my application in with the city. I also directed my application to the mayor because I believe the position that is now open was a mayor-appointed one. So I'm here just again to stress that I'm very interested in that committee. They have had meetings that they did not have a full quorum because members have not always appeared. And I understand that police have actually showed up because they were there to answer questions, and when the meeting is not held, the police that have attended are now wasting their time and efforts and overtime costs. So I'm just here because I am very, very interested in being part of that committee, and it's one that I can attend the meetings to, which is another bonus for my schedule and theirs. And I'm hoping you guys can help me get there, because there are also 3 members that have expired terms. So thank you for your time.
All right, that was the last speaker. There are no petitions, response to public comment. I will start with Councilor Sadi on my left.
Thank you all for coming out and speaking, including the people that came out to speak during the Finance Committee meeting earlier this evening. It is very nice to see an increased amount of input from the citizenry, especially with serious concerns. So again, thank you all for coming out.
Okay. All right. Councilor Hart?
I'll echo Councilor Sadi's comments. It's very nice to see the public out speaking to their mind directly to the council. Thank you.
Thank you, President Dominguez. I just want to thank everybody. Thank you, Debbie Phillips, for advocating for Smart Ride, because residents have gotten used to this service, and we want to make sure that it continues. Thank you to everyone who came out to speak, especially about the community garden. I'm happy that we came to an agreement that works best for everyone, because that's what should happen. And so I'm glad that we've made it to that line of making sure that everyone's happy. To everyone, in regards to the Police Advisory Committee, I'm glad, Ms. McCready, that you went and you checked out the meeting. That speaks highly, so hopefully, you should get some answers, I'm thinking. But to everyone, just thank you for showing up tonight.
Thank you, President Pro Tempek. And with me, thank you, everyone. Your comments have been heard and duly noted. Thank you for all the time that you come, and hopefully you will continue to come. With that, we will move on to reports and communications. Director of Law, any questions for Attorney Landrigan this evening? All right, Councilor Sadi.
Through you, Council President, to Attorney Lonergan. First one is on the general side, number 1, Thames River Apartments, emails with Connecticut DOT and finalized map. So I guess the first question is, of that finalized map, how much do they plan to take? And is it still considered a temporary taking?
It is just over 2 acres, and yes, it is still considered a temporary taking.
Regarding general side number 4, Connecticut Cell Towers, review of revised proposal for Montville Towers, would that be where we have our reservoirs?
Across the street from that, yes. The 2 largest towers that you probably see whenever you're traveling in southeastern Connecticut, those 2 towers that are located on WWPCA property out on Route 85.
And do we receive rent for those towers?
We do.
No further questions.
All right, anyone else? Seeing none, okay, thank you, Attorney Landrigan. All right, next is Council Committee reports. We had a Public Safety Committee meeting this evening at 6 o'clock. We had a presentation about the automatic traffic enforcement safety devices. Thank you for those that were here. The other thing I wanted to say is that I posted it on my Facebook council page. Hopefully, we can get the mayor to post that also on the City of New London page. It's a great presentation, like Councilor Sadi said, and hopefully Councilor Sadi and all the other councilors can share that, right? We all share it, it's out there, and the presentation was well done. All right, so with that, I will move on to next, which is Mayor's Office of Communications. Oh, hold on. Yes, sir.
I'm not sure whether or not Councilor Hart wants to talk a little bit about the school building maintenance committee, did that on Friday.
All right, Councilor Hart, do you wish to talk on that?
Absolutely, if it fits within this portion of the meeting. We did have our school building and maintenance meeting this Friday. We approved one very small invoice for Colliers. They are billing us hourly, so they do not expect to bill us this month, as we are mostly in a waiting pattern for the state to approve the final change orders. To the question of what is that body going to do in the future came up as these construction projects wind down. And so one of the suggestions was to have, to merge the meetings with the meetings of the regular facilities and maintenance department of the schools, so that people, counselors and board members could get updated at the same time on the same information. I don't know whether that would, I don't know when that would be possible, but it was suggested, and I'd like to talk about it more.
All right. Thank you, Councilor Hart. All right. Councilor Seri? That's it? Okay. I thought you had something to say. All right. Okay. All right, Mayor. Welcome. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, President Dominguez, members of council, members of the community. Sean, you're up. If you can put on that first slide. I'm going to mix it up a little tonight if the technology works.
I'm told
There we go. Okay, so what you're looking at is a photo that was taken this evening by Director Reyes, and it's a full parking lot at our rec center. The place was just a beehive of activity. I don't think tonight is uncommon. It really has caught on and is proving to be a real game changer in the community. So we're up to 2,200 members and going. I believe our marketing team is just starting to expand outside of the city, and working on other programs and activities and tournaments, attracting tournaments. So, we're not even 4 months underway, I think, and we're doing well. Tonight there was pickleball going on. The teens were playing in one half of the basketball court. There was Zumba going on. I don't know if our recreation director's here. He's the Zumba guy, Josh. Anyway, after the after-school program was full. The dance cardio was full. The gym was full. Gym meaning the weights gym, upstairs there. I'm not into that. And of course the pool, and there was family swim going on. So just a great feeling down there. And for any of you that haven't joined yet, please do go down and check it out. It's a great addition, a great amenity for our community. Smart Ride, it's been a lot of negotiation and a heavy lift to get it going. I'm glad it's working out. I don't know if Deb's still here. Oh, there she is. But yeah, no, I'll put my head together with Carrie Red. Well, certainly the city web page is an easy lift. We'll try to figure out how to get the new hours out there. I think one of the issues is it's really very new. Transitioning to the longer hours and the new routes, but I'll make a note to get that out there. And then, Council President, you wanted the presentation for the speed cameras up? Which presentation did?
The ones we just had. The ones that we had this evening.
Okay, good. So we just have to get that to.
That'll be great.
We just have to get that to Rochelle Meneses, and she'll get that up for us. Okay?
Yeah.
At any rate, Sean, if there's the second picture, so shout out to the city staff for managing this. This is the crowd that gathered for the No Kings rally on Saturday. It's one of the most enormous crowds I've seen at Parade Plaza ever. and it went off without a hitch, no incidents, peaceful as they did throughout the country. But kudos to our police department, our public works, and the whole staff for planning for everybody's safety. And the great news for us is this was a real boom to the lunch crowd downtown after the rally. So, you know, the restaurants did well. It was actually a great economic boost for the city. The food stroll last week was great success, beautiful night, beautiful weather, a lot of participation, as was Halloween Town this past weekend. What a gorgeous night for that, and incredible amount of families and kids, so that was great. A couple of upcoming things, lights on after school. Really encourage you to turn out St. James, support the Drop, great program. I think 50 years, is it, Council? Pardon me? 55 years. 55 years. The Drop has been taking care of our children. So that's Wednesday, 4 to 5 at St. James. The Martin Luther King dinner is Thursday. That's at, it's at Foxwoods. I believe they switched last year. They outgrew their previous venue. Normally you wouldn't be able to get tickets this close to the dinner, but that's a bigger venue, and if you haven't got your ticket, anyway, these students are absolutely amazing. The speeches that they give, they're talented, and it's a very prestigious award. So I encourage anybody to go to that and support that cause. And finally, we have a pretty amazing junior ROTC program at the high school, and the annual passing review, you only get one opportunity a year to see this, and to see these young folks with their discipline and their marching skills. It's very impressive. It's at Conway Gym, New London High, and that's next Tuesday, a week from tomorrow, at 9:45 in the morning till 11. And that's it, Mr. President, unless I'll take any questions.
Yeah, I just have a comment, going back to that. I know that you said about the presentation, I said that what I mean is also not only the presentation, but the Public Safety Committee meeting that we had just at 6 o'clock, so to be shared on the city website. So again, people can hear the presentation.
Yeah, so just tell me we got to get that to email to Rochelle, and she'll get it up.
All right, thank you. All right, it's open to anyone else. All right, President Pro Tem Peck.
Yes, I just wanted to, I know the mayor has a lot on his calendar, and sometimes he's not able to remember everything, but this October 25th is Community Day, Free Community Day at the Community Center. So that's on a Saturday from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. That's for anyone who doesn't have a membership that would like to take a free tour or to check out the Community Center. Please, this upcoming Saturday. Just wanted to bring that to your attention, too.
Yeah, it's more than a tour, though. I mean, it's, the whole facility is free to try anything out for that day. And we've been very successful on these community days. They end up generating a lot of new memberships.
Okay. Anybody else? All right, thank you, Mayor. All right, consent agenda, President Pro Tem Peck. Oh, he did, and I said anyone else? Oh, okay, hold on.
I thought you were going around.
No, I usually just,
Yeah.
with this one, yep, go ahead.
So just want to make a comment about the picture. Was down there last Wednesday night at the Italian Dramatic Club, and it was very exciting to see the parking lot very full at that point in time also. Glad to hear that our membership is at 2,200, and glad to hear that Smart Ride is going forward. The one thing you may have forgotten to mention, although it may have not been you that should have mentioned it, there will be a debate this Saturday for both City Council and Board of Education, sponsored by Hearing Youth Voices and the League of Women Voters. So,
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Good evening, Mayor. Thank you. All right,
Thank you, President.
Pro Tem Peck, you
Yes.
have the floor, sir.
Thank you. Consent agenda, that the consent agenda proposed set forth at the regular meeting of October 20th, 2025 are either, 1, accepted for the record, 2, referred to the committee, name, 3, waived from the committee to be acted upon as proposed, or 4, consented to as proposed. Thank you.
I'm going to start calling them out. Make sure that you pull and state your name. All right. 7.0, unfinished business. 7.1A, B, C, D, E, F. 7.2. 8.0, new business. 8.1, 8.2. 8.3, 8.4. Thank you. 8.5, 8.6, I'm going to pull that one. 8.7, 9.0, 9.2, no executive session, then adjournment. No, it's 9.1 and then 9.2. All right. Thank you. All right. With that, let's have our city clerk, Jonathan Ayala.
Council Sadi.
Yes.
Council Miller.
Yes.
President Dominguez.
Yes.
Council Dice.
Yes.
President Pro Tem Peck.
Yes.
Council Hart.
Yes.
You have 6 yes.
All right, thank you. All right, councilors, remember, move to Cam, and then wait for the second to begin. I'm going to start 8.6. I'm going to call the fire chief to come up, please.
Move that to Cam, right?
I haven't moved it yet. I just called the fire chief to come up. All right. Now I'm going to move it to Cam. Thank you. All right, welcome, fire chief. Good to have you. So I have a question. Just, can you talk a little bit about the Homeland Security, the assistant to firefighters grant? Talk a little bit about it. I know there's 10% that we have to match. And what's it for?
Certainly.
What do we do? Please.
First of all, I apologize. First thing, I'd like to start with thanking the Deputy Fire Chief, Mark Waters, and our grants writer, Adriana Reyes, because of the hard work that they've done to write a grant such as this. This grant does 3 separate things. It does, 1, it provides a contractor or a company that'll come in and provide additional training for our firefighters in live fire training, meaning going inside burning buildings, and it just gets another additional training on that. The second thing it does is provides funding so that we can make props, meaning equipment to use where firefighters could make a roof mock-up and cut a roof, or every one of their belts, they have a bailout kit, which is a rope with a carabiner, and they're able to use that if they ever have to remove themselves from a house from an upper story. So we will be able to build a mock-up of a device that they could practice that. The third thing it does is it allows our groups to train together. So it will pay for the funding for our firefighters. If you think about this, an entire shift, let's say, of firefighters will go train together at the same time. You have to think about that we still have to run the city, the ambulances still keep going. So this grant will fund that daily operation while these firefighters are training. And we have to do that 4 times for 4 groups. So that's the bulk of this grant. I'm very excited for it. And I'll take any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Chief. Any other councilor who wishes to address the chief? President Pro Tem Peck.
Thank you, President Dominguez. Through you to Fire Chief. From taking op fire ops twice. I've heard from various firefighters how vital this training is and how important it is. So I'm glad that we're looking at, ways to, to get the grant money, to have this specialized training, because the training only strengthens our group and prepares them for, real situations. So I know the city is small, we don't have the room or the size to have like a bigger, more outfitted training site like some other cities has. So I just want to just publicly thank you, and I'm glad that Dominguez pulled this, because I was thinking about pulling this, Cam, to just let you speak on it and just highlight it, because I think it's important for the residents to know what's going on in our fire department. So thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Councilor Dice?
Through you, President, to the fire chief, first of all, I appreciate that you know the importance of teams, training, and working together. And I'm very impressed with the grant writer that we have. She has been doing a remarkable job, and I have been appreciative of all the funding that she had brought in. I'm very impressed with this particular grant, and I'm so glad. I know I will be supporting it, and good job.
Thank you.
Any on this side? Councilor Sadi? Yep.
Thank you. More of a comment than a question. Not real happy with the fact that we have to pay $81,000 in overtime. Having said that, being involved in other training, but having said that, I appreciate your explanation. And so for that reason, similar to Councilor Dice, very happy with our grant writer finding these funds through FEMA, so that the city actually doesn't have to pay the $81,000, but it comes from grant funds. Again, I believe that the training is necessary, and so I think it's a great program, and I plan to support it. And thank you for all the work you do.
Thank you, Counselor.
Yeah, okay. I think we're good.
Thank you.
Fire Chief, thank you again. Right. All right. This is an ordinance, we're going to vote. City Clerk Jonathan Ayala.
President Dominguez?
Yes.
President Pro Temp Peck?
Yes.
Councilor Hart?
Yes.
Councilor Muller?
Yes.
Councilor Sadi?
Yes.
Councilor Dice?
Yes.
You have 6 yes.
Thank you, the motion carries. All right, 7.2 Riverside Park Garden Project. Councilor Sadi.
Move to CAM.
Second.
City Council approves the transfer of $110,450 in ARPA funds from the Hempstead Street Cleanup Project 2944339C to -58250 ARPAF to the Riverside Park Community Relocation Project to prepare the site for clean and safe community garden. The reason I pulled this is I'm not real comfortable with the way it's worded in the CAM, and therefore I would like to make a motion to amend that 7.2 be dropped from the agenda and acted upon under 8.4. It just, the wording... Correct. That's my plan. But again, I wasn't real happy with the way the wording was, so I just wanted to make sure it was, that it is to be dropped. Is there a second to my amendment?
No, that's the motion, I second so you could speak. Somebody else needs to second your motion now that it's dropped. Who's going to do it?
Just a point of information to, or a question to the law director is, what the mayor's saying is, rather than a motion to amend, we're looking for a motion to table indefinitely, is that correct?
Well, just to drop it. Essentially what happened was this matter got tabled from your last meeting, and it included specific dollar amounts. And then those dollar amounts changed, and so that's what 8.4 is. However, under parliamentary procedures, this CAM had to appear on the agenda this evening because it was tabled to this meeting in particular. There's no need for this motion to be acted upon because the vote with the correct dollar amount is in 8.4. So the intent here was, well, we have to deal with it, so it's just, let's just drop it. And then it is in essence being substituted by 8.4, which is later on in your agenda.
All right. Are you good, Councilor Hurd, with the explanation?
I think Councilor said.
No, but you asked the question. I want to make sure that you are.
The explanation.
Thank you. I'm going to give you your time, sir.
Thank you.
All right, now you have the floor. Go ahead, Councilor
My
Sadi.
apologies. That was my concern. My concern was that the original CAM was that it was tabled 10-6 to this meeting, okay? And I just wanted to make sure that this appeared, it is here, and that the language is specific, that my intent with the amendment is to drop this and to replace it with 8.4, the language in 8.4.
I think that's not necessary. All you do is make a motion to drop it.
Yes, and I was just going to say, if you then substitute the language from 8.4, then you're going to be voting on 8.4 a second time, which has already been pulled. So you'd be making a motion to drop 8.4. So I think it just makes the cleanest, simplest way of dropping this, and then this discussion can be had under 8.4 with the proper monetary values put in there for the...
And that's my intent of my amendment, is to make sure that the motion is to drop and acted upon under 8.4.
All right, we need a second to drop it. Who's going to second the motion?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Councilor Muller. All right, any discussion? All right, let's vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say nay. Thank you, it's been dropped.
Main motion. That was
All
a
right.
motion to amend. We're now on the
Okay,
main
so now the main motion has amended,
which is to drop.
which is to drop. All right, ready?
Yes, we're ready.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Thank you, motion carries. Let's go to 8.4, Councilor Sadi, you have the floor.
I pulled 8.4.
Oh, okay, thank you, Councilor Muller, you have the floor then.
Move to CAM.
Second,
The City Council hereby approves a contract with Red Technologies LLC in the amount of $47,850 for the Riverside Park Community Garden site work. The City Council further authorizes the mayor to sign the contract and any other document necessary to effectuating said contract. Funding is available in 2944339C 58250 ARPAF. I think I'll direct my questions to Director McBride, I suppose, having this memo that we got came from the Finance Department. And the memo notes that our city's engineer, Ty and Bond, is recommending that we go with the third lowest of the three low bids, or excuse me, the highest of the three low bids. And there's about a $10,000 gap between Red Technologies and AJ's Landscaping Service, which was the lowest bid. And in the proposal evaluation, it simply says, it's our opinion that these two other vendors do not have the necessary soil remediation experience needed to complete this project. It further says that Red Technologies is a company that we've used a lot and we've worked with them before. So I have questions about why we are not going with the lowest bid, and if you have any information on that from Ty and Bond, more than what they put in their summary. It seems like a lot of money to be spending for this project, a lot of money, and I can't really. I've read the proposal. I see what the different pieces of action are, And so my other half of the question will be, how come Public Works isn't doing some of this work? That might not be for you.
Yeah, thank you. I don't have particular details, but what I do know is that we rely on Ty and Bond as well as several other engineer consultants for their expertise, and they perform their due diligence, and they reviewed this with ODP, and they came back, and I did speak with Joshua Long, talk about this, and he said the qualification and the experience of the other two vendors wasn't sufficient to what they thought could do the project. So I would really have to defer to them to more questions, but we do rely upon consultants for various things, and if they recommend the most appropriate action, we usually follow with their recommendation, even if it is $10,000. So I understand your concern, but this is something that we have done in the past, and we move forward in that direction.
Can I ask a follow-up? I also understand that the numbers at the bottom of this, the CAM that I read, indicates that, was this bonded money that we're using? Can you explain a little bit
Yeah,
about
it's actually-
where this is ARPA money versus bond money? If you could explain
Yeah,
that, I would
it's
appreciate
actually
that too.
100% ARPA money.
Okay.
Yep.
That's the extent of my financial questions.
Any other counselor? Counselor Dice?
I just want clarification. The opera money have to be spent before when?
The ARPA money had to be committed by 12/31 of '25 or '24. So that money was committed. We had it allocated for these particular projects, so we're still fulfilling the obligations. There's no concerns with any issues with that. It was committed for these particular projects.
Okay.
I yield the floor, thank you.
All right, Counselor Sadi, you have the floor, sir.
First, thank you, Council Muller, for pulling this and allowing us to discuss this. I somewhat agree with your concerns. Number one, very frustrated that we put millings down at Riverside Park that have now created some type of hazmat issue. Because that brings to mind, what are we doing with the walking path at Ocean Beach that has similar millings? And I don't need an answer to that question, but I just want people to think about that. That if in fact we're using these millings, and I know family members that have used millings as driveways, and my understanding that it was safe. So I'm a little bit frustrated with that. I would have liked to have more information as Councilor Muller wanted regarding why we're going with the third lowest bidder as opposed to the lowest bidder. But again, my understanding is that this project does need to move forward in a timely fashion due to the fact that trees and plantings do have to be moved, so I do plan on voting in favor of it. Just a little bit frustrated with how this all came to be, but it is what it is. It's ARPA money. It's not money that will be taken from tax dollars that we're paying, although I'm sure we do pay federal taxes also. So unfortunately, we're stuck between a rock and a hard place here with the timing of this issue. So I plan on voting in favor of it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other counselor? Before I return to Counselor Muller? Counselor Muller?
Again, I guess with the absence of the Public Works Director, maybe my questions would go to Mayor Passero, and I'm sure, because I know you've been intimately involved with this conversation and for a long time, so some of the scope of work, providing and cleaning topsoil, providing demarcation fabric, excavating, scraping off a foot of soil is something that can be done by anyone. It doesn't need to be done by a specialist. So I guess I'm just wondering how come Public Works isn't doing more of this work so that we could save the money?
Yeah, just as a prefatory question, I know you're new here, but we will provide whatever resources are needed at any public meeting, but I do have to have a heads up that they're needed to be here. So I would have had the Public Works Director here, Tom Bombria here. These are all good questions. They've all been considered and answered by staff, and I would love to have them all here, but I didn't anticipate, I had received absolutely no questions on this particular item, and the agenda's been out since last Wednesday. So first, it's not my understanding that the millings caused this contamination, but I would have to verify that, but that's not my understanding. Public Works wouldn't be qualified to do this type of remediation job. And in fact, the two of the three bidders, it's my understanding, our professional consultant was not comfortable that they had the qualifications to do it. So I do not believe that it's work that can be done by anybody. And the material that's removed also has to be properly disposed of, and that's part of the cost here. Public Works will be fully engaged in this project, and they will have to help Habitat and the gardeners to complete the project. And so they will be devoting a good bit of their staff time to doing it, but this particular part of the job, we're not qualified to do that.
If I may.
Yes.
I do read my agenda on Wednesday. Unfortunately, I'm a working person, and
Well, I didn't mean that as a criticism.
I just want to say that I will just, as a comment to the public, it's a lot of work to do before Monday meeting, when you get your Wednesday afternoon agenda and you're a full-time working person. So I hear you, and I typically send lots of emails, and I did speak with Mr. Montague at length on Friday. And unfortunately, you know, the time is what it is, and I had to go to Halloween Town and set up. So I appreciate wanting them here, and sometimes they are here and sometimes they're not, and I apologize for sort of shooting questions out. It's just, to me, again, a lot of money that seems a little bit wasteful. So I apologize for not having given you a heads up.
Yeah, well, no apology necessary, and I didn't mean that as a criticism of you. By the way, when I started on council 16 years ago, we used to get the agenda on Friday night.
Yep, Friday.
For the Monday meeting, and it was, so it was tougher. But it is tough anyway, and those are all really good questions. We do a lot of remediation around the city. I believe it's a good investment, and as you can see from the previous motion, because we've been under some time pressure on this whole process, but we're actually estimating this project at over $100,000. So we were really, really pleased with the bids, the way they came in at this level. Plus, we end up with a remediated portion of the park. Which is always a plus.
Okay. Okay. All right. No, thank you, Councilor Mota. Those are great questions. Thank you for asking them tonight. Anybody else? All right. Hold on. Okay, let's vote on Red Technologies LLC contract, Riverside Park. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay? Nay. Okay, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 yea, 1 nay. The motion carries. All right, one last motion.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, can I have a second? It's been seconded. All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. The motion carries. This meeting has adjourned at 7:49 p.m.